I bid you good afternoon, and I do apologize for not having the lesson prepared and uploaded earlier. Some things got in my way, but nevertheless, this is the Sunday school lesson for Sunday, October 2nd, 2011 from the International Uniform Lesson Series. And the topic of the lesson is living an ordered life. And this comes to us from Proverbs chapter 29 verses 16 through 27. I want to divide the lesson up into two separate areas. First, I want to review verses 16 through 21, and I want to entitle that as Order in Society. And verses 22 through 27, I want to entitle that Individual Order. So those are the two brackets, or the two sections of the lesson I want to teach from, and that is order in society and individual order. And again, the book of Proverbs, each one of the Proverbs can be taught in its own unit. So if you want to do a verse by verse study, or to you Sunday school teachers, if you want to teach verse by verse, feel free to do that with the book of Proverbs. And beginning with the 16th verse, and I'm going to be reading from the New International Version. When the wicked thrive, so does sin, but the righteous will see their downfall. Discipline your son, and he will give you peace. He will bring delight to your soul. Where there is no revelation, the people cast off restraint. But blessed is he who keeps the law. A servant cannot be corrected by mere words. Though he understands, he will not respond. Do you see a man who speaks in haste? There is more hope for a fool than for him. If a man pampers his servant from youth, he will bring grief in the end. Now, these Proverbs, verses 16 through 21, order in society. And again, these are some of the Proverbs of Solomon that King Hezekiah had his men copy. And Hezekiah was a king of Judah in some very dire straits. The northern kingdom had already been taken over. So his kingdom, the southern kingdom of Judah, he wanted that to be preserved. And the only way he was going to preserve it was through the wisdom of his ancestor Solomon. So this is what we have. First of all, in that 16th verse is a reminder for us that if we live right, we will see victory. Now, again, the northern kingdom, they strayed away from God. And of course, the northern kingdom was taken over by the Assyrians. So you saw a proliferation of wickedness in that northern kingdom. And of course, all around Judah, you had nations that were worshiping various false gods, various idols, doing a number of detestable things. But yet, the kingdom of Judah was to be separate. It was to hold on to the ritual of worship and the worship of the only one and true God. So verse 16 reminds us that if we continue to live right, no matter how much evil is around us, eventually the righteous will see the evil fall down. And verse 17, it's a reminder for us to be a parent if we are going to have peace in mind. There was a sign by the Tea Party movement here in King William County. It said, "Teachers teach, parents do your job." And I do remember one story where someone came to visit their son in prison, and as the visit went on, the son asked the mother to put her ear close to him, and she put her ear close to him, and he bit her ear. Okay, that's just to show that if a child is not being raised right, then eventually that child will be a grief to his or her parents, or to her parents, so to speak. Because what we need is for parents to raise their children, to bring their children up right. Of course, in the Christian church, we believe that you need to bring your child up in church, that you need to bring your child up in the ways of God. Now, if you practice some other religion, if there's some other religion that can teach your child morality and teach your child to make the most of him or herself, that's all well and good. But the thing that is important is to make sure that we correct our children, and not always with corporal discipline, though I'm a believer in spare the rod and spoil the child, but bring them up in the right way. Again, that verse teaches us that if you discipline your child, he'll give you peace. That you don't have to worry about that child doing anything wrong to you or anything wrong to someone else. That isn't always the case, but 9 times out of 10, if you train a child up in the way that he should go, he will not depart from it. Verse 18, where there's no revelation, and this is it. You have to have a vision for living righteously. If you don't have your own vision, if you don't have your own revelation as to why you must live according to the ways of God, sooner or later, you're going to find rebellion with yourself or with the people who don't have that vision. Give you a good example. College. Oh, the first year of college, all of a sudden that young freshman doesn't have mother and father to tell them to go to church and to go to Sunday school. And as soon as they hit campus, they go buck wild. Why? Because they have no foundation for themselves. But if the child develops a foundational relationship with Jesus Christ from day one while still in high school, once when that kid goes to college, okay, yeah, there are going to be some temptations. Yeah, there's going to be a few mistakes made, but the child will be the kind of young adult that will stand on the word of God rather than to follow his or her own understanding. Blessed is he who keeps the law. Not keeping the law just because mama and daddy said so, but keeping the law because you understand for yourself who the Lord is, who Jesus is, and how to conduct yourself in the right way. This next verse is someone that can stand on its own, and I think that more people should keep hold of it. That a servant cannot be, okay, I jumped ahead of myself. Excuse me for a moment. That verse 19, a servant cannot be corrected by mere words. Though he understands, he will not respond. And this gives us a glimpse of what good leadership is all about. You know, a supervisor can tell the people working under him or the people working under her what to do and how to do it and give all sorts of directions, and the employees will look at that supervisor all kinds of cross-eyed, all kinds of crossways, and halfway do the job, if they do the job at all, if there is no sense of respect. But if that supervisor has established a pattern of respect, and if that supervisor is one who is willing to get down and get dirty along with the employees. If that supervisor is telling people what to do based on his or her experience and is willing to show them how to do things, or properly train that person how to do things, then the employees are more likely to listen, because it's not just boss man telling me what to do, but it's boss man telling me what to do, showing me what to do, and I know that boss man has my back. So show some leadership. Show some leadership, and let that leadership be based upon action and not just upon word. Now, this is the one that I wanted to get to, verse 20. Do you see a man who speaks in haste? There's more hope for a fool than for him. There's another verse in Proverbs where it says, where words are many, foolishness abounds. And then there's another proverb that says, even in silence, a fool is considered wise. And I like the way that Abraham Lincoln once said it. He said that even in silence, a fool is considered wise until he opens his mouth and removes all doubt. It's best not to speak too fast on any subject, on any topic. It's okay to pause. It's okay to say, can I get back with you later on that? Can I talk to you later about this issue? Because if you're too quick to give an answer, there's always the chance that you might give the wrong answer. And it's best to take your time to research and find out what the right answer is and give that answer, rather than to speak rashly. Because when you speak rashly, there's always that room for failure, always that room for error. And then finally, in this first set of verses 16 through 21, again, Proverbs chapter 29, that if a man pampers his servant from youth, he will bring grief in the end. Let's go ahead and be real. Slavery was in existence during the time of King Solomon. And in order to keep the masters and slaves, protocol had to be established. In other words, you had to let a slave know from the very beginning that, yes, you are a slave and you are not in an equal social position to myself. And, well, of course, we thank God that we don't have that situation anymore. But it is important for us to maintain order in our human structures. For example, I think in the United States military, it's commonly advised that officers don't spend a lot of time fraternizing with the enlisted men. And certainly that a good officer does not run around borrowing money or borrowing things from his enlisted men. Why? Because once when an enlisted man holds an officer over a barrel, well, remember, Captain so-and-so, you owe me this, you owe me that, then your whole structure runs the risk of breaking down. And the same is true for parenting. If a child holds a father or mother over a barrel, remember, you said you were going to do this for me and you owed me this and you owed me that. Wait a minute, parent owe a child? No, I think it's more like us children owing our parents. And this is not to say that there should be a very strict way of an officer never showing any kind of friendship or compassion to an enlisted man. This is not to say that parents, you cannot befriend your children, certainly as your children grow up. There should be some bond for some sense of compassion and friendship. But again, there has to be that foundation of officer enlisted man. There has to be that foundation of parent and child. And these are the notes again for Proverbs chapter 29 verses 16 through 21, and that is order in society. Now, the next set of verses, verses 22 through 27, I'm going to entitle this individual order. That these are things that we can definitely take responsibility for ourselves and in the way we conduct ourselves. For example, verse 22, I'm entitling that one anger management. An angry man stirs up dissension, and a hot-tempered man commits many sins. In other words, cool it. Now, this is not to say that nothing should ever upset you. Well, I mean, every now and then you are going to get upset about stuff. Every now and then there are going to be things that will make you angry, and perhaps some things call for some drastic actions. Go to the story of Jesus chasing the money changers out of the temple in the 3rd chapter of John. Jesus does not do that immediately. He doesn't do that very moment in John's gospel. But instead, Jesus waits a couple of days before he chases the money changers out of the temple. It's good to wait to act on the things that you are upset about. It's good to just take a deep breath, pray about it, think about it, and then act. So verse 22, I'm calling that one anger management. Verse 23 is a reminder to be humble. A man's pride brings him low, but a man of lowly spirit gains honor. And people have honor and respect for lowly people, for people who are willing to bite their lips sometimes, bite their tongue some other times, but yet and still there is honor and humility, and those who elevate themselves are eventually taken down. And let me read the rest of the verses right quick. I know I'm doing this kind of wrong, but in a way, what I'm filming is live and unrehearsed, so I'm being real with you, warts and all. Starting with verse 24, the accomplice of a thief is his own enemy. He is put under oath and dare not testify. Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Many seek an audience with a ruler, but it is from the Lord that a man gets justice. The righteous detest the dishonest, and the wicked detest the upright. Okay, that's the rest of the lesson, but let me go back and backtrack to verse 24. Be careful of the company that you keep. Be careful of the company that you keep. I like to watch a lot of online documentaries, and I watched this one documentary about this young lady who was a member of a gang, and eventually her conscience caught up with her, and she began to give information. She became an informant. In other words, she snitched. Dangerous things happen to snitches. They wind up getting beat down. If it's a female snitch, she winds up getting gang raped. And of course, all snitches have a tendency to wind up dead. So always be careful of the company that you keep. If you wind up, and it doesn't even have to be something as extreme as being part of a gang, but it can be something as low level as being friends with somebody who you know got their hands in the till of a local club, or God forbid even a local church, and all of a sudden that other person has you over a barrel. So watch who your friends are. If your friends are shady, they might wind up having you shady as well. Verse 25 is a reminder for us to fear God and not fear man. If you run your life always afraid of what people are going to say about you, what people are going to think about you, then your life is not your own. Your life belongs to somebody else. You pretty much make yourself out to be a puppet. And let's see, the God that we serve, he created man in his own image, in his own likeness, breathed the breath of life in him, and man became a living soul. Does God have strings attached on him? No, I don't think so. God is who he is. He is the almighty, eternal spirit. And that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be likenesses of that eternal spirit of truth, that eternal spirit of compassion. And if you're always afraid of what other people are going to say and what other people are going to do, you will never live to the fullest that God has for you. You know, I can imagine Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Well, if I lead this bus boycott, then I'm not going to be able to be in the good graces of the city of Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, yeah, he could have thought that way, but guess what? He thought otherwise. And we need people who will think otherwise and not people who will just, in a word, sell out. Verse 26, again, is on that same tone, that many people seek an audience with a ruler, but it is from the Lord that a man gets justice. I think too often we want to obey rules of man and not think about what God's rules are. And using King as an example, in his letter to Birmingham jail, letter from a Birmingham jail, King reminded his critics that to turn in a Jewish person to the authorities, that was legal. To hide a Jewish person from the authorities was illegal. So we are to live according to what God's law is, not according to what man's law is, because man's law in Nazi Germany was that all Jews were to be killed, but God's law in the midst of Nazi Germany was life should be preserved. In verse 27, the final verse, is a reminder that righteousness and wickedness are total opposites. We cannot hope. Well, I take that back. We can always hope that the wicked will turn from their evil ways and live. We can always hope and pray that those who are living wrong in our families and among our friends, that they will eventually change their ways. But pure wickedness and pure righteousness cannot exist in the same place. That we have to either move towards one or we're going to drift toward the other. So this verse pretty much gives us a conclusion that we are to live an ordered life, and we have to decide who's going to order that life. It will either be ordered by the righteousness of God or the wickedness of this world. We are to order the society that we live in. Even if we can't order the whole nation, we can at least order our own households. And that we should definitely order ourselves and the way we live. There's no point of running around talking about, oh, we need to put prayer in schools, and we don't have a prayer life of our own. That's pretty hypocritical. That's very hypocritical. So this is the Sunday school lesson again, Proverbs chapter 29, verses 16 through 27. I divide the lesson up into 2 to 3 sections, but again, the book of Proverbs, anyone who wants to teach it verse by verse is more than welcome to it. Again, I say that I offer this video as a supplement to your Sunday school experience and not as a substitute. For those who are not able to come to Sunday school, I pray the Lord's blessing on you wherever you are. But if you are able to wake up, go to Sunday school. And the great thing about Sunday school is that, when I preach, nobody can ask questions. That's my time to speak, thus saith the Lord. But when I'm teaching Sunday school, man, I got people who will sit there, but Brother Gresham, but Reverend Gresham, but so-and-so, but Reverend Gresham, how about this? But Reverend Gresham, how about that? And I have to stand up there and give answers. Sometimes I don't know all the answers. So I have to actually stand there and say, I don't know. But that's the beauty of it. Sunday school is about the shared learning experience. It is shared Christian worship. It's not just preacher preaching, but it's teacher teaching, but learners also contributing to the entire process of worship through learning. So please, if you're able to go to Sunday school, get up, wash up. If it's a regular Sunday, put on your shirt and tie, put on your dress. We have some Sundays as come as you are, and certainly put on a pair of pants and put on a pair of jeans and go. It's not about how you're dressed, it's about being there. Please be there for Sunday school. Have a good Sunday. God bless you.